I'm Dax Shepard, and I'm here promoting the Freebie and Parenthood.
So Dax, this is your first time on the show, right?
It is, yeah.
What do you expect then?
To get blasted.
Really? Why?
Yeah,
is there stuff out there on
Well, you know, there's things float around the internet. I don't know, rumors, mostly conjecture. I'm sure none of it's true, but I expect to be hit with every, you know. But maybe I'm just insecure and I'm fearing something that's not going to happen. Maybe it's going to be a celebration of my life and my work.
So would you say you're a little nervous?
Nervous isn't the right word. Ready for battle.
Ready for battle. All right, well, that's a good way to go.
I'm going to kiss the ring. Yeah, I'm not going to battle.
All right, man. Well, sounds like fun.
All right.
We'll see you in there.
Okay.
All right, Dax Shepard is a guy. He's I think he started out on Punk'd. Very, very. There he is. That's the famous Dax Shepard. There he is. Yeah, you were at the party. I ignored you.
You don't really recognize
I don't at all.
Oh, gee, let me get
Take that hat off. There you go. Hey, man, good to see you.
Good to see you.
Dax, where'd you grow up?
In Detroit.
And so
Can I shake your hand?
Yeah.
Because I missed out on that.
All right.
Oh, you know, are you a germ thing?
Yeah.
I don't mind doing that.
You don't?
I actually do mind doing that, but for you, I don't mind doing that.
Dax, how's a guy from Detroit make his way to Hollywood? And how do you get this whole career thing going? There's a lot of people in my audience who are sick of their jobs. They want to go.
Well, Grillo especially would like to
Right.
hear how you get a thing going.
Yeah, they want to go out to Hollywood and, you know, be rich and famous. How do you do it?
You know, I wanted to be on Saturday Night Live, and I was like, how do you do that? And
Right.
I noticed that a lot of the people on Saturday Night Live had performed at the Groundlings, this improv sketch theater in L.A. So I
Seems
moved
to be
there.
part of their history.
Yeah, Phil Hartman and, you know, Pee-wee. From the famous Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Yeah, he was in
Paul
the
Rubens.
That's where he created Pee-wee.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then Will Ferrell and so on. So I went and auditioned you have to audition to take classes there, and then you kind of move through the ranks. And
Were you like a theater guy in
not at
high
all.
school?
I was the guy peeling out, leaving the parking lot. I was a gearhead.
You were never in the school play?
No.
You never did any of that?
No.
So how do you suddenly get the confidence to become did you know in the back of your mind?
I didn't have the confidence. What I wanted, I was kicked out of class regularly, as a lot of us were, and then I thought I was funny, and I thought I should do stand-up, but I was too afraid to do stand-up in
Right.
Detroit. So I thought, if I move to California, then I have to do stand-up. Moved there, still was afraid to do stand-up.
Was your family beside themselves that you were moving to Hollywood and you had no real particular, you know,
Yeah, how
skill
old
set.
were you?
Skill set,
Were
yeah.
you-
Right.
Did you go to college at all? Or
I
was
did
this-
go to. I went to
Yeah.
UCLA, which my mom paid my rent if I was going to college. So I went to UCLA as my job, and then I got to, you know, act on the side or
right.
Go to
Because
the
it's always
Groundlings.
amazing to me. My father was really perplexed by my choice because I didn't do anything that, you know, with my life that would indicate that I
that
could
you
be on the
wanted
radio.
to be any kind of
I know,
a
like,
performer.
did you ever see Billy Crystal's show, Trillion Sundays or whatever, with his father?
I didn't see
you know?
that.
Well, I was drugged to that show, and he tells the story of going like, I knew at that moment I wanted to get into comedy, and my dad was like, well, if you want to get into comedy, you got to learn all the great comedians. Let's get these albums. And I was like, whose dad does that?
Yeah, it's crazy.
And that explains a lot.
Yeah, that is kind of nuts. Like my dad would just say to me, "Who do you think you are that you would do this? You're
You
not
arrogant little shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. He couldn't wrap his head around me being on the air. It didn't make sense to him.
Right.
So I mean, so you go out there.
My mom was very supportive, though. I want to be on record as
My
saying
mom was too.
Yeah, I think moms can do that.
And my dad was supportive in his own way too. He would help me. You know, he would get me a car if I needed one
Right.
to go out on auditions. And
But
things
your
like that.
dad at least was loosely affiliated with
Right.
radio, correct?
Right? Yes, he was.
My dad was a car salesman, so he hadn't sold anyone a car at a studio to call them to help out.
So when you go out to California, your first big break is being on the TV show Punk'd.
Well, I auditioned for like tampon commercials and stuff for 8 years, and I didn't book any of them. I was getting long in the tooth, and I had not worked. Like it was getting to the point where I should be reevaluating whether.
How many years had you been putting in, going to auditions for commercials and different kinds of shows? How many years did that go on for, and you were getting nothing?
8.
8 years.
Yeah,
How
I could have
old were
become
you?
a surgeon.
How old were you when you first booked
I was
something?
28 when I was on Punk. Maybe 27 or 28.
Were you? Did you have an age in mind that would be the age when you'd say, "That's it. I got to go prepare for some other kind of life"?
No, and I hate to repeat like these cliches, but it is true. I was happier failing at that than I would have been succeeding at another job.
But how do you feed yourself?
Oh, it was difficult to feed myself, but I would. I like that you're asking the very practical question.
Yeah, but were you a
who was
waiter?
paying? So I would go work for my mom in the summers doing car shows for GM. It takes too long to explain how that worked. But I lived on about $8,000 a year for 8 years.
But when you're 28 years old and all your friends from college are moving on with their lives and they're accountants and doctors and they're finding
they're
their
buying
way,
boats and houses.
Right. Do you start to feel like a real asshole?
Yeah. Well, also because I had a strong sense of entitlement. I think I thought I deserved all that stuff, yet I hadn't really done anything. I just always envisioned that I'd have a boat and a house and stuff, yet I wasn't doing anything to get those.
It's a scary life, though, because people probably look at you now and go, oh, man, I should have been an actor. I should have been on TV.
Yeah, friends of mine. Or even my brother, God bless him. He watched an episode of Punk'd, and he's like, I don't get it, man. You just what? Like, I could do that. I'm like, oh, you studied improv for 5 years?
Right.
Why were you keeping that such a secret?
Well, yeah.
Like, people will think, I mean, not that acting's all that hard. I'm not saying it is. But no one would ever say to a judge, like, I saw it on TV. I could try a case.
Right.
Well, overruled.
Well, you're so right, because, you look at something, and those guys who make it look effortless, it does look like something you could do because it's so organic. It just looks.
It's just talking in front of a camera.
That's right.
Yeah.
But it does require
It's deceivingly simple looking.
So you paid your dues. You auditioned. So you finally, at 28, auditioned for Punk'd, the Ashton Kutcher project.
Yes.
Where it's almost like a candid camera, but even more severe.
Yes.
And the show goes on the air.
But even more heartbreaking, we went and shot the pilot. I finally had a job. I was ecstatic. Then on the pilot, we got sued. And the show had a different name, and then there was a year off sorting that out in court, where I was like, oh, my God, I thought this was going to happen. It's not going to happen.
You figured success. You're going to be on MTV. The young generation will know you. They'll see
I'll
you.
have a clothing line by the September. Things are going to be great.
And you're one of those guys who actually does the punking. I mean, you are.
Yeah.
You're the guy.
Yes. So we shot the whole first season before it aired so that people wouldn't know what I looked like.
Right.
And in subsequent seasons, you could, trick somebody, and then at the end you'd go like, just kidding, you were punked, and they'd all celebrate because they knew what punked was. Well, when I did the show, I would say to you after ruining your life for an hour, like, just kidding, you got punked, and they didn't know what the fuck that meant. That was like, you got turkeyed. What? So there was no relief. Then I had to go, you got punked. It's a show coming out in 3 months on MTV. We expect it to be very successful.
It's like a candid camera type situation.
If you have Ellen Funt, Andy, you should be familiar with the format. It's not original.
Did anyone ever get physical with you on that show? Because I used to watch that show, and I would say, if they did that to me, I'd beat the shit out of somebody. I would never, ever give permission for it to be released. I would be furious with my friends for setting me up. And I even remember one of the shows, which really, actually, to his credit, Justin Timberlake allowed to go on the air, where he cried.
That was me.
You did it.
I'm Justin Timberlake. No, yes, that was me punking Justin Timberlake.
And when he started to weep, I mean, he cried, because I remember you guys were throwing all his furniture out of the house or something like that.
Yeah, we had boarded up his house, but I think what really got him to tears was that we had taken his dogs, and they were in some kind of federal holding facility until the tax issues were sorted out.
Now, weren't you shocked that a celebrity would allow you to release that? I mean, they're so worried about their image. Very few celebrities want to be seen crying on TV.
Right. Well, and that became another issue. Is those were some of the early episodes, and Ashton was super involved. So Ashton would come out, and he was great at revving everyone up and making them feel like this was super, a momentous thing that happened to them. Yeah, you should be so flattered.
Right.
So he would come out and get people excited, and before you knew it, they were signing. And then I think later they would at night reevaluate what they just signed off on. But then, as the show got more successful, and he had to be on the 70s show, it was left to me, a complete no-namer, to explain to them why this was so great for their career.
Like, yeah, who are you?
Like Mandy Moore. I punked her, and she had no clue who I was, no clue what punked was, and it was like, now you sign this here.
And they signed it remarkably.
They did.
You say in the beginning, the show got sued, so a celebrity was offended.
It wasn't even on the pilot. We had one celebrity, Carmen Electra and Dave Navarro.
Right.
And then the show originally conceived was just going to be normal people.
Right.
And the network wisely was like, who gives a shit about normal people?
We don't want to see normal people.
Yeah, even if they're dying in the episodes, not as interesting. So I think then when they came back, they're like, look, it's got to be all celebrities.
So a normal person sued you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I think now I can speak freely of it. What's really funny is we had like an injured hooker in a hotel room that they checked into,
Right.
which she perceived as being dead. Which I guess there's the line legally that if someone's dead, you're in deep trouble.
Right.
So she said, I'm never going to be the same. I thought that hooker was dead. Turns out she's an RN nurse in the emergency room. This whole case drug on until they found a photo of this, the Stratosphere roller coaster.
Right.
Time-stamped 2 hours after this life-altering event. She's got her hands above her head screaming on the roller coaster ride. And they found that photo, and then like the case just went away in 2 seconds.
And so the show had been held up for over a year. Your big break in show business.
Exactly.
It was almost a show that never happened.
It was brutal.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah, it was real. And I'm not I was never the person that's like, I'm going to make it. I got what it takes to make it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like
I'm a negative. I always think something terrible is going to happen. So I was like, yeah, that makes sense. The show's going away.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like when you're 28 years old and you've been at this thing for a really long time, like at some point you just start to think this is just never going to happen for me.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly what I thought. And I even daily still think that, even on a show. And
your sexual resume is pretty amazing. Back then, even then, were you getting laid a lot, or is it definitely show business that amped you up? That I mean, yeah, I didn't know you're engaged to Kristen Bell.
Yeah,
I mean that's some.
I sure am. She wasn't at the party, unfortunately.
No, I would have paid attention to you if she was at the party.
I chose a wrong tact with you. I thought you're the hot girl at the party. Everyone wants to meet you. I'm going to ignore you, and you're going to be so intrigued by this one dude who's not interested in you that you're going to come over and talk to me. That didn't work out.
Yeah, no, I would have been. In fact, I remember now. Jimmy called up. He says, "Hey, I'm going to invite my friend Dax." I said, "Sure." I mean, any friend of yours
sounds
is a
like
friend
an
of
interesting
mine.
name.
Why not, Dax?
Sure.
Yeah, it sounds like an important guy. So you were there, but I don't remember really meeting you or seeing you there.
Yeah, I stared
Did you
at.
even
I mean,
say hello?
I've been. Well, here's the thing. Like, I've been around a lot of famous people, but Howard has just a different thing where it was just interesting to see. Like Ben Stiller. There was all these huge people there, and everyone was just kind of on some level, kind of clocking where you were at. I could just feel it. It was palpable. Like, I don't know when someone. I've only been around that a few times.
Why don't I feel that? I don't feel any of that.
You didn't hear any clocking at all.
I felt nothing palpable.
I was assuming you were like me and you'd be obsessed with the one guy who didn't say hi.
Yeah, no, I was not obsessed.
You weren't. It totally backfired.
Didn't notice at all.
Yeah.
Like I've got to hang out with Schwarzenegger several times.
Right. That's a dynamic guy, right?
Oh my God! I don't know if you've had the pleasure of reading his book that he wrote in 1978, but it's amazing.
When he was bodybuilding.
When he's bodybuilding, he's ne's never been in a movie, and in the book he goes, I'm going to become the largest movie star in the entire world. And you're reading it going, what is he basing that on? He's never acted. He has no reason to think that that's going to happen. And God bless him, it happens. And then while he's an actor, he's like, I think I'm going to run California.
Yeah.
Why? I don't even think he went to college. So there's something so exciting about his positive mental attitude.
Right.
So I got invited to ride motorcycles with him one time. So we ride motorcycles and we go up to this restaurant in California, and I go to the bathroom. When I come back, I sit down and he goes, Dax, I've seen the Punk'd and I've seen Without a Paddle. You're hilarious. And I go, oh my God, thank you so much. I love Total Recall and blah, blah, blah. So we go outside and I say to Tom Arnold, who's the one who invited me, I'm like, what do you think of Schwarzenegger, man? He knows all my movies and shit. He goes, buddy, as soon as you went to the bathroom, he's like, who the fuck is this guy? Why is he here? Who invited this guy, Dax? I was like,
Get him out of here.
Top of the world for like an hour at breakfast.
But you're so right. I mean, it reminds me when I think of myself and I say I'm going to be in radio, and really, what right did I have to say that? I was terrible on the radio. This guy, he was in Hercules Goes to New York.
They dubbed over. It wasn't even his voice.
They wouldn't use his voice,
right?
And yet he believed that he was going to be a big movie star and marry a Kennedy and everything else.
Yeah, the whole nine.
Yeah.
So then he called. So I did my impersonation of him at this breakfast, and then he called later. He's like, called me on the phone. The governor, can you hold for the governor?
Wow.
I almost had a heart attack. And he goes, listen, I really thought you were really funny at breakfast. Once you come out and do some campaign fundraising for me. And I go, I can't. I'm a libertarian. I'm not a Republican. He goes, me too. And I was like, this guy is good. So needless to say, I've come and brought him out on stage at all these different charity events and whatnot. So then we go out to breakfast one day, and I'm like, I'm really going to get this guy. Today, this breakfast, I'm going to seal the deal. So I would purposely talk to all of his bodyguards. I never looked at him. I'd tell jokes to other people. And I think it really worked. He invited me to his house to watch a movie based on my ignoring him.
But yeah, based on the fact you weren't creepy. You were kind of guy not consumed with him. He's used to people being consumed.
Mind you, he's all I'm thinking about. Just like you at the party.
Right.
I was playing it as if I weren't, but I was thinking a lot about you.
Except unlike Schwarzenegger, I didn't notice you. Well,
I've not been to your house for a movie, so it didn't work.
So when you introduce the governor at these functions, do you do the impression of him?
I do, yeah.
You do a very good impression of him.
Well, I do one that's a little different than everyone else's. Everyone kind of goes the really aggressive route. I do more his subtle kind of. And when I was reading his book, I like to think he was whispering it to me.
So when you say you do the subtler version,
like he talks a lot of times, he's down here and he's really sincere, and it's ridiculous, if you think about it.
And there's a section in his book, I really beg you to read it. It's about him and his buddy Frank training in the woods in Germany, naked. It is the gayest passage of any book you've ever read.
Right.
And I roasted him one time and just read the 2 pages, not doing anything other than reading it, and it killed. He's like,
we were out in the woods really pushing ourselves to the max. We felt the burn. There was so much power. It was so painful. We were naked and eating raw meat and swimming, and we had wine.
And he's basically saying him and his buddy are naked drinking wine in the woods.
Right.
And it's like ultra masculine somehow.
it's so true. I mean,
And he can't hear anything negative. So the next time I saw him after I read his book, I go, hey, I read your book. Boy, that's quite a gay passage, you and Frank in the woods. He goes,
it was really effective. We really did get the burn.
Everything's a compliment to him.
right. He just goes right over him.
And it's disarming if you've seen him attacked on the news over politics. He doesn't hear it, and it's positive, and it really works.
He uses that same technique.
Yes.
People just go, hey, we're bankrupt. We're in bad shape.
You're a
here.
horrible governor.
You're a horrible governor.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. You were trying very hard. Thank you.
Well, so
It was the 10th largest economy in the world when I took it over. Now it's 25th.
thank you.
Yes, I doubled it.
He probably doesn't really understand English. So you're this guy. You're hanging around Hollywood. Things aren't going so great. Suddenly,
They're not looking bright.
were you living like a roommate and all that kind of thing?
No, well, I had a girlfriend at the
Right.
time, so I had
Was
her.
she
as
famous? Because you
No,
seem to have. Yeah, right.
no. This isn't the poor,
Right.
No one was famous in the circle.
So then you get the punk job.
Yes,
and now-
then I'm on TV.
Right, and this is big.
Sure.
Does your life change? Because the show probably didn't pay a lot of money. I mean, MTV.
Oh my God, nothing.
Infamously cheap, right?
Infamously cheap, and then it's been syndicated 1,000 times. I still don't get anything. I mean, granted, I would have paid to be on the show, so I'm not complaining.
Were you live the kind of lifestyle where your girlfriend had to pay for you and like take you out to dinner and stuff?
No,
I mean, were you that
I'm not
bad
a
off?
dirtbag. No, it was always you live the kind of lifestyle where you were an asshole. No, everything was 50-50.
Right.
We were splitting all the expenses. She was a waitress, and we were about pulling in about $19K a year.
Did you
between
dump
two of
her
us.
when you started to get some work?
I didn't. No, we were together for a couple years after I got work.
Right.
But I continued to live in that apartment. I had done 4 movies and sold 2 screenplays.
So what happens after Punk? Suddenly people start noticing you and things get
3
easy.
months after Punk, right? I go from not working for 8 years. 3 months after Punk airs, I go do this movie Without a Paddle, which is a studio movie, and I'm one of 3 leads. Go to New Zealand, shoot the movie for 3 months, get back.
Your luck started to change.
Oh my God! I immediately went into a Mike Judge movie when I got home, Idiocracy,
Wow.
and then I did this other huge movie.
When in Rome?
But I continued. No, that was not that was later.
When in Rome
Yes,
is with your fiance,
it is. Yes, Kristen.
but Kristen had several very heavy scenes, sexual type scenes with that. What's that guy's name?
Josh Duhamel.
Josh Duhamel. Who's
Have
now
you met him?
No.
He's a stud and a half.
He's Fergie's husband now.
Sure. He's about 6'4", 5", and built. He's a Clydesdale.
Your fiance was not attracted to him?
No, she thinks he's super cute, but I was so lucky in that he just doesn't put out a sex vibe. Like, he's
Josh
not
Duhamel.
vibing your lady. No,
Right.
he's crazy. Like, I couldn't have picked a better stud for her to be making out with.
So is that where you met your fiance?
No, I met her at a, friend's birthday dinner.
So
Prior to Sarah Marshall coming out.
Right.
So I didn't know who she was, and she didn't know who I was. Granted, I was aware that there was a show called Veronica Mars, but I hadn't seen it.
this is some piece of ass. I mean, let's face it.
It's real top grade, isn't it?
Hottest chick you've ever been with. And let me tell you something. You've dated
Oh,
I was
boy.
shocked by this.
This is the part I got nervous about.
No,
Really?
Miss Saigon.
Buckle up.
Miss Saigon.
You dated Miss Saigon.
Who that? What is
I
that?
don't know. It says here on your sexual resume.
Isn't Miss Saigon a
play.
right about
You
a
dated the
boy
whole
lady,
play?
right?
They're saying you dated
A tranny.
the actual Miss Saigon.
I don't even know who the Miss Saigon is.
It says you dated. Let's
Who
see.
do they mean for real? Is that they?
It
mean,
says
they
Miss
meant-
Saigon,
You
2006.
can't date a character from a movie. I don't
It
think.
says here.
I
You,
also
Miss
dated
Saigon?
Tootsie.
you dated.
I was
dated a
dating
beauty?
Tootsie for a long
You
time.
dated Ione Sky. I like her.
I don't know. I haven't.
You never met her?
Here's what I think your staff did: is they looked at whoever I had taken a photograph with over the last
Maybe they did that.
6 years. I'm also
You
then
dated-
dating a lot
wait,
of dudes.
I got one you dated.
Okay.
Kate Hudson.
I did. Yeah.
Look at you.
Oh,
You're
boy.
the
I was at a
one?
party with her. I thought I could have gotten her.
Maybe she likes guys with great personalities.
Yeah, because I would be shocked, but I was there and she was talking to me the whole night. It was right before she met Chris Robinson. I might have had.
Oh,
a
you're
shot.
saying way back in the
Way back. She
okay.
must have been 12 years old. I bet.
Yeah,
I'm not
well,
kidding you. Yeah,
I'm
no kidding.
sure.
You dated her. Mm-hmm. Good
Yeah.
Lord.
What's
How
that
lo-
like? You were just talking about yesterday
did-
how you would love to date her.
I did a bit about how great it must be because, like, not only is she beautiful, pretty girl,
Sure.
but Goldie Hawn, like, is at the house.
Well, can I tell you that was probably the coolest element was Kurt Russell was around
That's
a lot.
what I said.
And I, he may be the coolest guy I've ever met. He's the only maybe like older movie star I've met where he's totally healthy. His identity has nothing to do with being in movies.
Right.
Magically. He's like well adjusted and living a great life retired and doesn't want to come back or anything.
Right.
And he took me flying. I mean, it was.
That's what I mean.
He's the greatest guy of all time.
I mean, how many girls you date, someone takes you flying? I mean, wow.
Yeah, and we got in trouble. He like buzzed their house in Canada, buzzed it, and then we were in trouble when we landed with the Canadian.
Fantastic.
I mean, you can't buy a story like that.
I would get seduced by her just because of the family. You know,
Sure.
I mean, I'm hanging with Goldie Hawn. I mean, she's iconic.
right?
I love that.
I was more. I had my sights more on Kurt, but yeah,
Yeah, right. You were more into Kurt.
yeah. I mean, what a guy!
Yeah, he's a lot of
Snake
fun.
Plissken's
Did you fall in love?
with Kurt. Absolutely.
No. Did you fall in love with Kate Hudson?
No. No. It was
Wow.
a 3 month. It was a 3 month.
Jeez.
Summer
but how
affair.
often did you see the kid? Because that was the whole thing. It
That
like-
was the one negative.
A
Because she
lot.
does have a kid. You saw the kid a lot.
I really liked the kid, though.
You did like the
Oh
kid.
my God, yeah.
But you're not marrying a girl with a kid.
It is weird. I had never dated. I grew up as my mom was a single mother who raised 3 kids. So I had all these stepdads and dudes, and I was an asshole to them, and they didn't like me either. And
It's
it was
understandable, though. I mean,
yeah, but it was the first time I saw it from the other side where it's like, oh man, that's a shitty job being the step parent because like you end up falling in love with them, but then so now you want them to turn out well. So now you're trying to go like, well, maybe you shouldn't do that, and then they hate you.
but then you also, you're on a date and you see the kid, and then you got to suck up to the kid, and you hope the kid likes you. Because if the kid don't like you, she ain't gonna.
Right,
date
and
you,
I
you know?
believe in corporal punishment and stuff like that. I
Right.
wanted to hit the kid.
How many times did you have to wash that kid's mouth out with soap? Right?
Daily.
Chris Robinson, you had to go fight him for
I'd
that,
wake
right?
him up in the morning with a little.
Wash out his soap.
Sure.
But isn't it weird when you spend the night over there and then the kid is there? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, that's a weird thing to negotiate.
It is. It's hard for everyone. I'd only seen it from the kid's perspective, having grown up that way. But man, it's
But being sensitive to that because you were a kid who maybe see your mom on a date.
Yeah.
And then the guy would sleep over. The guy,
Oh, yeah.
And that would probably
What a
just
drag.
fucking totally freak you out.
Yeah, and I had I've had 3 stepdads. I only liked one of them, my current one, who I loved the daylights out of. And I said to my mom, I'm like, why did I love Barton so much? Like, what? She goes, he's the only guy he never tried to like be your dad or tell you what to do. He just was around,
Right.
and it totally worked.
He understood that he wasn't your father, and he didn't have to
Right.
discipline you and all
The
of that
train had
stuff.
left the station. He knew I was going to be a disaster.
So when you're dating Kate Hudson, and now you know because you can be empathic with this kid,
Right.
So you're probably like,
I like that a derivative you just used.
Empathic?
I've never heard that.
I don't know what he's talking about.
No, I bet
empathy,
he's right.
Empathy, I
Yeah,
mean.
yeah.
Isn't it empathic?
Empathetic.
Empathetic.
But I
sorry.
like I'm not trying to make fun. I was excited.
No, it's fine.
Oh, okay.
I think I'm using it properly, but I could be wrong.
I think empathic almost means like psychic, like you're...
Well, then, yes.
I was speaking to him on a cosmic.
But isn't empathic
empathy means like you know what they feel.
Empathetic is the right word. You're right.
I don't know.
You're right. No, you're right.
There is a word called empathic.
I know, but I don't
empathic.
think it means...
And the meaning is very similar to what you're trying
Yes,
Really?
These people are very lowbrow. Listen, I have to dumb it up. I have to dumb it up.
I hear you. Okay.
I'm sorry, Robin. Okay. So, I mean, wouldn't she say to her, listen, let's get the kid out of the house. Give the kid over to Goldie for the night, and let's have some real fun.
Let's send him to camp.
Let's send him to
They
camp.
got to have camp for 4-year-olds.
Seriously, what do you do? It's probably more fun when Chris has custody of the kid for a couple of days, and you can be dating and not have to be.
That wasn't an issue. The him being around or not, I liked him a lot, and I didn't mind him being around.
So what went wrong?
And the kid, he's not up for 20 hours a day, so
As soon as he goes to bed, the fun begins.
Sure.
What went wrong? This is a good girl.
It was just really fun. We're not like marriage material, her and I.
All right, you still in touch with her?
No, I'm engaged.
So that stops that.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, yeah, exactly.
So
what business do I have talking to like hot actors?
But if you were dating Kristen Bell, and then you go and do this movie, and she's doing the love scene thing, with
Sure.
her, that would make me insane.
It wouldn't. If you met Josh Duhamel, it wouldn't. I know what you're saying, but he's more interested in winning me over than her.
Really?
Yeah.
Because my wife did my wife's not an actress, but she did a little scene with a guy on a ABC show years ago when I first was dating her, and they were kissing. And the other actor said, can I make out with you? And she was like, well...
Did they have like a boundaries conversation before that? You had a boundaries
He
conversation.
wanted to practice kissing her, and I
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Now he's a very famous guy. I forget his name, but, he's doing very well.
He wanted to rehearse in his trailer?
I don't know. I don't know. She said there was nothing inappropriate, and she would... But I was jealous.
Yeah.
I could see that this would be... She's a very sexual woman, your
Well,
fiancé.
yeah, but you made out with girls in private parts. Right?
I did, yeah.
And now, having had that experience, is that something you think you should be jealous of?
Absolutely.
It's not what you think.
I was turned on in every scene in my movie. I had full hard-ons with every girl.
Oh, good.
Mary McCormick, who played my wife, I had full boner. Full boner. Even just kissing her, I had a boner.
And did she feel that?
I don't know if she felt it, but I was honest with her. I said, I've got a boner.
Oh, good.
I'm not an actor.
You said to her, look.
I think I may have impregnated her. I think her kids might be mine.
Really?
I'm telling you, I was so turned on.
Would you then run to your trailer and relax?
I would jack off, yeah.
Sure, okay.
Every night. I'm not kidding. I mean, you don't get worked up in a scene when you do these things?
No, I'm not saying I haven't been worked up before, but as a rule of thumb, no. Especially on a TV show where it's moving super quick. Like, I make out with girls now on Parenthood, and I don't get boners.
Who do you make out with?
I'm also getting older, and I'm on Propecia, so that might
How old are you? You're not that old.
35.
35. Good Lord. I'm
you feel like that's
56,
young.
I'm still getting... I feel like that's a teenager.
Oh, wow.
Dude, I'm 56.
But
I'm a fucking mess.
You look 40 and you've done perfect. So
you can hang out with me anytime.
I would love to. I hear about people going to your house in the Hamptons, and I always fantasize.
Well, you gotta speak up.
I'll go and ignore you for a weekend if you want.
If you ignore me, that's fine.
I'll just be in a room.
But you gotta speak up to get invited.
I'll whisper at the table.
Jimmy's over there all the time.
He's told me he's gone, and
Jimmy goes.
I want to join him.
You bring that girlfriend of yours. I'll take a look at her.
Yeah,
her
absolutely.
I'm not ignoring.
And I get a good vibe from you. So if you guys want to knock out some scenes or something,
I'd love to do a scene
just
with
for
her.
the website.
I would love to.
Yeah.
So when you meet a girl like that, right away she's into you, or do you have to work this girl?
No, when we met, I had just broken up with someone. She had just broken up with somebody. She didn't know who I was. I mean, she knew the name.
Who'd she break up with? Some famous guy?
Who's a guy she'd been with for years.
Who?
Kevin Mann.
Oh, Kevin Mann.
Yeah.
Who is that? Is he a famous dude?
No, he's not famous.
Oh, okay.
He's a
so you meet her.
Nice dude she was with for
and
years.
you want in her pants. But she's...
Well, no, that's what I'm trying to tell you is that we met, and there wasn't really anything going on at this table because we were both just weren't in the market for that.
Right.
And we didn't know who each other was. But then a week later, we were both at a Red Wings game in L.A. They were playing the Kings, and I ran into her, and we started talking, and I was like, oh, my God, that's the girl from the dinner party on Monday, and she was doing the same thing. And then at that moment, I was like, wait a minute, this girl's so cute. I can't stand it.
Oh,
and
you're
then
not kidding. I love romance.
And then I invaded her privacy and got her number without her knowledge, and then just started texting her.
How do you do that? Give it to
the mutual friend who had hosted the dinner party. I asked her for her phone number.
Was she
and she
upset?
said, I will give it to you if you don't rape her.
Right.
Yes.
And you did not rape her.
I did not rape her.
But was she offended that her number was given out to somebody?
No.
And how do you make that phone call?
She liked me. I just sent a text.
I see, and you said, "Hey,
hey."
Hey.
Just one text that said, hey.
Now, had you raped women before? Is that your MO?
You know, I don't know. What's your stance on statutory rape? Do you think that's legit?
Nah, sure. Robin, this is romantic, this story. This is what I want for Robin.
So then we started texting. We started texting, and then I went and met her with a group of her friends out at a restaurant she eats at a lot. And then
where's that? Where do you end up going?
That's in the Valley, in the glorious.
Right. Yeah. And she eats there, and you get.
I kind of want to curtail this story to fall into all your fantasies, but it's.
How long does it take before you actually go on a date with her?
Well, so hockey game on a Sunday, let's say, meet her out with friends on a Wednesday, hang out with her then the next weekend, and then 3 years has gone by. Since
wow!
Then. Yeah.
How long before you actually score?
Longer than normal, I'll say.
2 weeks?
Yeah, let's say more than that. Maybe.
More than 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Boy, she really made you work for it.
Yeah. Well, and I will say, in my defense, I wasn't pushing because I was like, this was a super good girl.
Good for you, man.
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy, it sounds like it sounds like a charmed life, except for the beginning of it. The first 28
majority
years,
of it.
First 28 years sound kind of shitty, but I'm happy for you.
No, I'm in heaven now.
Do you hang out with Josh and Fergie at all?
You know, I will tell one funny story about them. That so I used to have the despicable habit of dipping. Okay, because I used to smoke.
Chew?
Yes, I used to smoke, and then I quit smoking 5 years ago. Then I went to Afghanistan on a USO tour.
Right.
All the troops dip.
Right.
So, like, I wanted to tough guy it, and as an act of solidarity, I started dipping.
Right.
Well, then I got home, and no more soldiers, but I kept dipping for, about a year and a half.
That seems like the most gross habit.
It's disgusting.
I mean, you're
carrying around a spit bucket. Yes.
Right.
It couldn't be grosser. So, one day, Chris and I are driving in the car, and we've been together for, I don't know, maybe 7 months at this point. And I just look over, and she's like, so it just goes in the front part of your lip? And I go, Mama, don't do that. You don't want to get on this stuff. She starts dipping. So now that cute little blonde angel
Are you kidding?
starts dipping.
And spitting?
So now we both, we are as white trash as it gets. But we're both from Michigan.
Right.
Okay. So we're the Hollywood's fresh-faced couple carrying around spit bottles.
Yeah.
So we go do When in Rome, and Josh Duhamel, I hope I'm not outing him, he also dips.
Right.
So now the three of us dip.
Wow.
So then Fergie visits in Rome, and we're like, well, you can't buy dip in Rome. Have her bring in a case of dip. So she's now smuggling in a bunch of dip. So cut to all four of us on set with our spit bottles.
She dips too.
We were all dipping. And I was like, this would be the best paparazzi photo of all time.
Does your wife still dip?
No,
fiancé?
neither of us. It's been 2 years since
Fergie, I hope not. I mean, ruin her voice. You get mouth cancer, the whole thing. She won't look hot if she's missing half her mouth.
It's going to take a real hit on her looks if she loses her mandible.
Smoking, I understand more than dipping.
Yeah, it's really gross.
So you hang out with him? Do you ever go over their homes? Do you ever?
Yeah, I'm not. I am the guy that when I go do a movie, I do become friends with everyone, and I want to then hang out with them afterwards.
This Fergie intrigues me that she can sing like a black woman and rap like a black woman.
Yeah.
She gets away with it. It's very difficult to do. And I always think of her as the most sexual human being on the planet.
Sure.
My mind goes to like dirty, filthy sex. I think she's banged, like before her husband. I think she probably had affairs with every one of those dudes in the band.
Oh, I hope so.
That Will I Am or whatever.
Because when you hang up your hat, you want to know that you didn't leave any rock unturned.
Do you think that she's had affairs with all those guys? I feel like she's banged every one of them. I don't know. There's one guy who looks like a Chinese guy of some type, Chinese, half Chinese.
Why not?
There's a black guy.
Get them all in the
Chinese guy.
mix.
I'm telling you, I don't know what goes on there. Now, Dax is here because he is promoting. You're a great guest and you're very honest. But the movie is called The Freebie. So this sounds like an independent type film.
It is. It was at Sundance this year.
What does it mean, The Freebie?
It's about a married couple who has not had sex, they realize, in about 6 months, and they think that's troubling. So they decide, what if we went and had a one-night stand? And then just see if that invigorates everything.
You mean, in other words, you have a free pass?
Yes, you get a one night off.
You have an honest discussion with your wife, and she says, okay, you go fuck someone.
I trust you to do it. Do you trust me to do it? Yes. If it backfires, we can talk this out.
This is a total fantasy. This rarely happens between couples. You know that, right?
Right, yes,
Right.
yes.
So
and then when it does happen, it probably backfires.
And it's usually a guy's idea.
Yeah.
Who was
Or if it's the girl's idea, she's already in love with somebody. She didn't see someone hot at the grocery
That's
store.
right.
who is the hot chick who plays your wife?
Katie Aselton. She's on this show, The League on FX, and she was in a movie that I loved called The Puffy Chair, which is how I ended up being in this movie. I saw that one, called the director, had breakfast though.
Is she hot?
Yeah, she's beautiful.
You do love scenes with her?
Yeah. Not banging scenes, more like cuddling, kissing, staring.
Love that.
But it was, this movie was very unconventional so we would do takes that were an hour long. They'd say action, and literally an hour would go by.
So there could be an hour of you in bed cuddling and making out.
Which is exactly what it was. While her husband...
And you didn't get a boner? Be honest.
Let me just say this. Her husband, who produced the movie, was at the foot of the bed.
I could care
You
less.
would give a shit about that.
They said, there'll be people in the room. Don't worry, you won't get excited. I said, there were people in the room? I didn't see them. I'm making out for hours.
Right.
I made out where there wasn't in the script to make out. I'd make out in inappropriate scenes. I can't even tell you.
Like, what was the most inappropriate moment you decided to kiss?
Well, there was a scene where...
I think when we're getting out of the cab, we should make out.
Yeah, well, I would
Stuff
just
like
start
that?
kissing.
Oh, okay.
And I go, well, I'm a married man.
Uh-huh.
There was one where, I had to answer the door. It was a simple scene. It was toward the end of the movie.
Yeah.
My program director from NBC is coming to tell me that we hit number one. I'm sitting and talking to Mary McCormick in the scene, and it's just killing time till the doorbell rings.
Sure.
All of a sudden, I start grabbing her breasts and making out with her. And it's like, they even say, well, cut. What's going on here? I said, I'll tell you exactly what's going on here. I'm the star of the movie. And I'm sitting with my wife, and this is what I would be doing.
Yeah.
But she's pregnant. I go, I'll rub her belly. Well, they roll the camera again. I'm kissing her. I put my hand on her titty, and I rub her belly.
I remember that scene.
And how did she...
I talked to you about it. I said, why is your hand on her breast?
I mean, there was nothing in the movie about it. There was no script that said... Go.
And then there was one other scene...
But I'm acting.
...that Mary looks completely shocked.
Exactly. I'll tell you where. We get married, and we're supposed to walk down the steps.
Absolutely.
Mary's boyfriend was on the set that day. I said, fuck this guy. I was so pissed off.
Yeah.
I said, fuck him. We're walking down the steps. All they do is they want to shot us walking down the steps.
Right.
I stop. I flip her
He
around.
grabs her, yeah.
I'm grabbing her ass and kissing her in front of everyone. People are throwing rice, this and that and the other thing. They go, cut. I go, cut nothing. I'm acting. Don't interrupt my scene. When I'm fucking
You were just about to
creative.
get to something good.
Yeah,
Discover
let's go.
a real moment.
This is love.
That's hysterical that you knew exactly the scene I was thinking of.
I know every scene that I made out in. I mean, you think I was supposed to pull my pants down when I'm supposed to get her pregnant?
No.
Boom! I go, whoa! When I get a woman pregnant, my pants are off. That's when I did the Heine dance in that scene. This is what you do, man. It's a free pass.
I did have that one time where I did a movie with Liv Tyler, and I wouldn't say as gratuitous as what you're saying, but I will say there were scenes where we were supposed to be kind of bickering, and I was still making out with her. Like, or the kiss was just supposed to be like you're mad, give her a pet goodbye. But I was incapable of that.
Hey, well, let me tell you, that's right. I remember I shot one scene. They didn't put it. I was fighting with her. I had gone on the air and made fun of her miscarriage. I started making out with her. They go, no, you're yelling at each other. I go, what? I could make out and be angry with you. The greatest thing in the world is acting.
But she loved it. She was fine with it. She thought it was charming.
Everyone thought it was charming. I'm charming.
Yeah,
I'm
you're
kidding.
very.
She loved it. She was probably turned on. Mm-hmm. She threw up, I think, 3 times in her trailer.
What do you think the conversation was with that boyfriend who had visited
I
set?
could have cared less.
Don't even care.
In fact, they'd give me a fake mustache, you know. Mary goes, can we stop all this kissing? The mustache is in my mouth. It's coming out. I said, no, this is my scene. You've got to kiss me.
Keep it rolling. Keep it rolling.
It was fantastic, Dax. I'm
Good
telling
for you.
That's
It sounds
right.
like you had the time of your life on that.
I think they had to throw me off the set. I didn't want to leave. They said, we're done with the movie. That's it. I go, what do you mean? It was fantastic. I loved it. I would love to do that.
And was there anything else you threw in like, man, I always wanted to drive a Ferrari? Maybe there's a scene where I'm driving anything crazy like
listen, they didn't get too crazy.
that? Oh, okay.
It all had to do with sex for him.
So now the
Okay.
movie, and who is the girl that you cheat with in the movie?
This young actress named Frankie Shaw.
And you get to do, wrong name? Frankie
No,
Shaw?
I'm thinking that's right.
You better get your shit together.
I know.
Did you make
There's
out with
only
her?
5 people in the movie. You think I'd be able to
Did you make
fucking
out with
learn
her?
every-
You get a little something?
I did make out with her. Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. Anybody naked in the film?
No, I'm in boxer shorts. If that excites you.
Oh, I think you're an attractive man.
Yeah.
Yes. And
then
also, you've got the Parenthood thing.
Parenthood show. Does Beth watch that? That seems like it'd be up her alley.
Beth watches Parenthood. She watches a lot of shows that I don't get to watch. I
Sure.
should watch it now that I know you.
Yeah, it's a really good show. You saw the movie. You liked the movie,
Yeah,
right?
movie was good. I like the movie. Why were you banned from Conan O'Brien's show? Now, Gary told me he spoke to you about this. I don't know anything about it.
Yeah. I remembered it today because as I was coming here, the publicist was supposed to pick me up in a car, the publicist for the movie, and he was late. And now all of a sudden I was rushing here in a cab and it brought back this kind of visceral memory.
This is when Conan was on NBC?
This was when he had his show at
The
12:35.
Late
The Late Show.
This was over 6 years ago.
And they had you on because you were on an NBC show, right?
No. I wasn't on that show. Yeah, I was promoting a movie.
Okay.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah.
I was promoting a movie, and I used to drink way too much. I had a bit of a problem.
Did you go to rehab?
I didn't go to rehab, but I did get sober.
You don't drink at all?
I don't. Not for 6 years.
Oy vey.
Yeah.
That's torture.
How do you do that without rehab?
Yeah, you could have a glass of wine.
I couldn't afford Well, I guess I could have afforded rehab. I don't know. I just
Can't
didn't
have a
go to
glass
rehab.
of wine or anything?
No.
It's not bad, huh?
I'll immediately ask you if you know a guy in the city as soon as I have that glass of wine.
You're
You got
right.
a guy? You got a guy that could drop something off?
Your fiance drink at all?
Nah, not really. It's not her thing.
Okay, good.
Well, thank God. That was very convenient.
No weed, nothing. You can't do anything.
No, I don't do one thing.
Okay.
I can't even take an Ambien. Like last night I got here and I'm on LA time. I'm like, I'm fucked. I'm going to go sleep at 4 in the morning, wake up at 6:45. And that's what happened. But whatever, I got to deal with it.
That's why you probably dip. You want to do something a little outrageous, right?
Exactly. I drink too much coffee. But at that time, I had no reservations about getting stinking drunk.
Right.
And so I had done the pre-interview in a total blackout.
Right.
I don't remember even talking to the person.
Yeah.
Stay up till whatever the hell time, 11 in the morning the day of the show.
Right.
Pass out. I wake up to my publicist shaking me awake.
Right.
We rush to the show. I'm late. I'm in it. I can't even see still.
You're in a coma.
I'm in a fucking coma, but I am going to fight through because it's Conan O'Brien and this is my big shot, blah, blah, blah.
Of course.
So I go out on stage and I reek like booze, I'm sure. I'm a mess. They had an animal wrangler on just before me. So in my head, I'm like, well, this is going to be a great joke. So before I even sit down, I go, Conan, the guy was keeping the animals in the green room with me and I got bit by some kind of, and then I just pass out and I go over the back of the chair. I break the coffee table.
Oh.
So from his point of view, all he sees is like, hey, nice to meet you. And then all hell breaks loose. Furniture's falling over and the table's breaking. I'm sweaty and puffy and fucking bags in her eyes. And I get up and I just told the best joke in the history of the show. And then I make a bad union joke. And he's like, you just alienated it was not
a disaster.
And then, so it starts terribly and then it just gets worse because he's like, Dax, your name is Dax. And I'm like, yeah, it's fucking Dax. And I'm like, this is supposed to be jogging some memory, some story I've set up. But I don't know what the hell he's talking about. And I'm like, yeah, Dax Shepard.
And you know what?
I have no story to tell.
And isn't it funny that here's a guy, 28 years old, you still hadn't made it, you finally get the success.
Big shot.
That's why you had to stop drinking.
Totally.
You would have blown your big shot.
I absolutely would have. I wouldn't be sitting here for sure.
What do you think the drinking was? With your divorce of your parents and all the different stepfathers, I would imagine that.
Well, I think genetically I have it. Everyone in my family has had it. But I think the thing you were talking about, the 8 years of fuck, it's not going to happen. I think that I couldn't handle that.
Right.
I was just like, I need comfort in anywhere because it ain't coming from career and being on a
So you
path.
drank your way through that 8 years.
Yeah, I did. I sure did.
Yeah.
And then, but I would get sober for movies because I cared about that even more. And then in between movies, I would get just annihilated, and then it just got worse and worse and worse.
Well, thank God you had the strength to do it. There was no intervention. There was nothing like that.
There wasn't. There was an ill-fated trip to Hawaii, and then when I got back, I was like, "That's."
Your mom never
less.
came to you and said, "Listen, son, you got to pull your shit together."
She did, but my family has enough experience with it all that they know you can't do it. I couldn't do it for her. I couldn't do it for my dad or whoever.
Are you close to your real dad?
I am. Yes.
You are
super close to my mom.
Oh, your mom.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, I got it.
My mom.
Well, let me tell you something. Take a couple of phone calls and I'll let you get the hell out
good.
of it. Dax Shepard is in a film called The Freebie.
Sounds like a good premise.
I like
right?
it. Yeah.
And can I be shameless?
Go ahead.
Also, I have a race team. If someone would go to primateracing.com and buy T-shirts, I could race the Baja 1000 next year. That's it.
You race cars?
Off-road.
Motorcycle?
Oh, motorcycles.
It's like a big NASCAR car with huge suspension. You drive through the
got-
Oh,
desert.
it is a car.
But you got a great life. You're racing motorcycles, cars, and this kind of stuff. You get this Kristen Bell who's
Sure.
a knockout. What are you doing? You're looking for trouble.
You mean with the racing?
Yeah, it's dangerous.
I
Don't
have a
do
lot
it.
of male.
Stop it already. I mean, enough of
I
that.
think you're right, by the way. But,
I could see when you were 25 doing that when you had nothing going on. Why
well,
not?
Steve McQueen, though, he was bouncing around out there in his mid-40s.
Yeah, and look at him now.
Well, you're right.
That's right.
about that.
Racing's your new alcohol. Get over it. Let's go to Rick real quick in Pittsburgh. Rick, go ahead.
Hey, thanks. Good morning, King. I have a question and a great second question. The first question, Dax, does Kristen Bell like to have her ass spanked?
I don't know that I would ever want to tell you that.
Hey, what do you think?
As much as I want the love and respect of the people out in your hometown.
Boy, that would be a home run, though, if she did.
I don't
like
want to
that.
give you any secrets so that you can then turn that on her when you meet her.
Right. All right. Let me put it to you this way. Does Miss Saigon like to get her ass spanked?
Loves it. With
Loves
a paddle, wood, metal,
Do whatever you had to
name
do.
it.
That's right. Let's go to Tom. Tom, quick in Detroit.
Hey, I know.
Hey, now.
Did you ever think about pranking Howard on the Punk show?
Did my name ever come up on the Punk show?
Yeah.
You're too isolated.
Good. Yeah, you couldn't get a hold of
No. Who would do that?
But his name never even came up?
I would never sign a release.
You might be shocked, but they weren't consulting me on who to punk. I was like the hired gun.
Would have been a good episode. I would have killed you.
I'd show up, and usually, I'll tell you one thing. I did get vocal. Whenever we tried to do a rapper, forget it. We would schedule this whole thing, set it up, the whole cruise, they'd never fucking show up. Or one time we were supposed to shoot with Busta Rhymes, and he fought Ja Rule earlier in the day, and then he wasn't there. It was like, so we just gave up on that.
You got to be careful.
Yeah.
Greg, go ahead. What's happening?
Hey now.
Hey now.
Hey Dax, I've seen you on Jimmy Kimmel twice now. You killed both times, and you really funny.
Oh,
You
thanks,
seem really
man.
Relaxed. You seem really like you guys had some kind of relationship. You guys hang out together, you and Kimmel?
Yeah, I had done his show once, and it's not that he fell in love with me on the segment, but we were then both in Detroit for this car show thing, and we flew back on a plane together, and on that flight, we became buddies, and then we...
You hang out a lot with Jimmy. I like Jimmy a lot.
He's the greatest guy ever.
Yeah.
I mean, he is really sensational.
He's a sensational human being.
Yeah,
And-
super generous. And
Did you guys go to an Ultimate Fighting Championship?
Yeah, we did. We went to Memphis. Him and his son and I. We went to a mixed martial arts event in Memphis, and we got there, and we were excited to find out that there were going to be girls fighting before the guys, and they
good.
bring these girls out, and they were way too hot. We were like, they're going to be the shittiest fighters. They can't be that gorgeous and great fighters. Well, these girls were fucking tough, and we were getting kind of into it because they're hot and they're tough. But then about 4 minutes into the first round, the one girl landed just a huge bomb, and the other girl went, ow! And it was the saddest, like your mom or sister falling down the stairs. And then we were both like, wait, this isn't fun at all.
Yeah,
this is terrible.
Oh, my God.
I felt like Romans cheering on like a lion eating a child or something.
Jeff the Drunk, you're on the air with Dax Shepard.
Dax, you're quite funny.
Thank you, sir.
He is a funny... Hey, Jeff, I was worried about you yesterday. I thought when I asked you that question, you went really kind of berserk on me.
I didn't say nothing, Howard.
No, I know, but I thought you were down or something, you know.
Yeah, I was down.
What did he do, Gary?
He left some ugly voicemails.
Oh, he did?
I want to hear those.
But it's just, I don't know. Jeff's got a sort of warped sense of reality. I'll play it for you during a break.
All right. Jeff, I hope you didn't say anything you regret.
I hope not.
All right.
Did you get racial?
With that?
I hope so.
Did you get racial with your insults?
If you didn't, I'm not playing it.
No, I did it.
All right. All right, Jeff, thank you.
Okay, but I will.
All right, let's go to Ralph. Ralph, go ahead for Dax.
Hey now. Hey, I love that story of you on Conan. What did your agent and publicist say after that?
Oh, well,
because they're always positive, and how could they be positive?
How do they spin that?
If I do a bad appearance, my agent will always say, it was very
yeah,
good.
it was wonderful.
You killed. The break in the furniture bit was
What did they
epic.
say? How did they spin that?
My publicist was almost as screwed up as I was at the time, so I don't even know that he was coherent backstage.
Two incoherent people.
I will say this, though. For the next 2 or 3 years, we kept trying to book the show again. They just wouldn't let me on.
Wow.
And I was doing other shows and stuff, and I had now at this time was sober, and I just couldn't get a second chance. And then Tom Arnold, of all people, called personally and said, look, I know this guy. He's been sober. He's a good dude. You got to have him back. And now I've done the show probably 4 times again since then, so now I'm in good standing.
Tom Arnold vouched for you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Tom Arnold helps?
Oh, absolutely.
I think when Tom Arnold calls, there could be trouble.
Yeah, how does he get Conan on
He
the
seems
phone?
like a... how did Tom Arnold get Conan on the phone?
Well, first off, I'm not saying he got Conan on the phone.
I like Tom, though.
He's
a great guy.
He's a beautiful, great guy.
He really is. He's really a nice guy.
He has saved so many people
Yeah.
that no one knows about. But
That's right.
No,
What was
he's
that
really
movie?
good.
Yeah.
What was that movie where you played the male model? That was funny.
When in Rome.
That was good.
You like that one?
Yeah, that was funny.
You know what's funny is I got in really good shape for that movie, and I was thinking all these girls were going to say what great shape I got into. Not one girl has said anything, but about 20 dudes have been like, this huge
I didn't
black.
say you looked hot.
No, I know. I'm just. It made
So
me
you're
think.
making a ton of dough now between Parenthood. Parenthood, they've got to pay you a lot of money. I mean, you're on a network television show.
I make amazing money. I make way more than I ever thought I would. But I don't make.
Are you a
I
millionaire?
don't make the kind of money that people made in TV 4 years. I signed out of
true.
this show right when the recession was at its height.
Right.
TV's failing, so I don't make the stupid money that.
But when you make
people
a
used to
movie
make.
like you know this new one, The Freebie.
That's nothing. That was the
it's
whole
independent
movie was made in 11 days. I have a percentage of that movie is what I took.
So
yeah.
you'll see money
if it does well. Yeah, yeah.
You'll be sitting there all day waiting.
Why do you think he's here? He's
I'll be
trying to
auditing
get some
people
money.
and trying to get people on the phone.
Jim, you got the last word. Go ahead.
Hey, Dax, the first time you put your penis inside Kristen, how long did it take you to come?
Like Dax, be honest, because so many guys out there. I've been with some beautiful women when I got famous, this kind of thing. You blow a load so fast. How do you hold out with a Kristen Bell? She is fantastic.
I do think that was another element in my drinking before. I did like how much it prolonged the activity of
Are you
coitus.
able to hold out a long time with her?
As I've gotten older, it's certainly gotten easier. I'll say that. Yeah.
I wish it would get easier for me.
Have you ever tried wearing a condom?
I do.
You do.
I
Good
wear
for
it,
you. Good
and
for you.
It doesn't even slow me down.
Oh, it doesn't.
Is that what you do? You wear a condom?
I don't. But I've in the past employed that method.
So you're saying you're trying to get.
But
Kristen
the bottom line is that there's never.
She's going to get pregnant.
Yeah, well, that's the plan eventually.
You want her to?
Yeah. I would love to.
Are you
have
guys
her.
actively trying now?
No, not yet. But we're.
If you're not using a rubber, you're trying.
Well, you make a great point.
Wow.
When's the wedding?
We're not having a weddings. We're just getting married. No wedding, so we don't have to plan it.
Yeah.
So we haven't there's no reason to set a big date.
I'm such a sexual mess. Like opening up the condom packet gets me off.
You're like a junkie.
Yeah,
like you
man,
get
I
the
love
heroin,
it.
you're already high.
But I know she's a tremendously hot girl. That first time can't be easy.
She is the most beautiful, wonderful girl.
Good for you, man. That's a very nice story. I like it. It's got a happy ending, your story.
It does.
Good for you, man. I
Thank
like
you.
And next time you're at a party with someone like me, say hello for Christ's
I'm
sake.
going to do that.
What's the matter with you? I would
now.
like to talk to you.
Well, when I'm at your house,
you come over.
I would love to.
Did you play any instruments tonight at Jimmy's?
I didn't that night, but I played the drums.
Well, you should have been with us up there.
Did you play?
Oh, I played guitar.
Oh, come on.
Keyboards, drums. I played
Where
all
were
instruments.
you? Were you really at this party?
I was. I was flying somewhere. Oh, we were all flying to here.
Right.
And they were all on, whatever, I'm not going to out you, but
right.
yeah. Let me just say, when
You
I
didn't
left
even
the
make
party.
that.
If you had introduced yourself to me, you would have been with me.
Yeah,
You didn't even make that.
No.
I fucking blew it big time.
Listen.
Because Kutcher was there and Jimmy. I mean, it was a whole thing, right?
We had a big
dancing.
party. We had a big party.
Drinks.
That's right.
A lot of taking pictures. And
parties must be hell without drinking, huh? I mean, Jesus Christ. That party with Johnny Knoxville was walking around with moonshine and
Yeah,
the whole
you can't
thing.
even partake.
He is one of the guys where I go like, fuck. There's a couple guys where I think like, fuck, maybe I should just commit to it. Like Nicholson. No one gives a shit. He's winning Oscars. And I think, well, maybe I could do that. But the truth is, I'm Gary Busey. I'm Jan Michael Vincent.
Oh.
I'm not Jack Nicholson.
You gotta be careful. Good. All right. I like that.
I'll be a closed head injury or something.
And please give that beautiful fiance of yours a kiss for me.
I will.
A big pervy hug.
I will.
You know what I'm saying?
And again, I'm very open to you guys filming a scene together. I trust you.
Oh, I would love to.
Because I think as much as you'll get a boner and whatnot, which is fair, I don't think you're going to then cross the line.
Oh, no.
He won't rape her.
No.
Never.
If she doesn't consent, there won't be any sex.
A lot of fun hanging out with you. I'm glad we
Thank
finally
you. I
got
was
to
so
talk.
flattered that you had me. Thank you so much.
Love having you here. Love hearing about Kate Hudson and the kid and the whole thing. When you broke up with Kate Hudson, did you have to say to the kid, look, I'm breaking up with mommy? And I mean, you should have had some closure with him, no?
Yeah, you know, I definitely offered, like, hey, I like you and we're still buddies and I would like to still be buddies. He shockingly didn't take me up on that offer. It's a lot of people.
Yeah, I'm shocked. I figured you were on Facebook together.
Well, what can you do? It's not like we're going to go get a coffee together or something.
Did you say, I'm sorry, I found a hotter chick, I've got to move on?
I found a younger model.
See Dax in the movie Freebie, and don't miss Dax on what show, Robin?
Parenthood.
That's right. See, I will be watching you and looking you over and making sure you're on the right path.
Thank you, sir.
Dax.
Yeah.
How'd it go in there, man?
Much better than I was fearing.
Yeah, you thought that there was going to be a lot of dirt on you.
Yeah.
And not a lot of stuff.
No, it was all right.
That's got to be good. But there is some things with your sexual resume, I guess, wasn't
Who
true.
the fuck compiled that list? Miss Saigon? I don't even know what that means.
You don't know who that is?
No, and then what was the other one? Ione Sky. I think I played poker somewhere with her, and there's a photo maybe. That's what that was based on.
But you wouldn't answer a lot of questions about your sex life with Chris, and why?
Yeah. Shockingly, this might surprise you, but you don't end up engaged with someone like Kristen if you talk about your sex life with them.
You got to be good.
Yeah.
All right, so you had a good time today, man?
Yeah, it was great.
Awesome. All right, thanks for stopping by.
All right.